This meeting of the City of Charleston Board of Zoning Appeals, zoning present here this evening are Gordon Huey, Robin Richards, Alice Grass, Bill Goodwin Jr., John Bennett, and me, your chair, Jeff Tibbles. Present from the planning staff are Robert Summerfield and Chris Swalha. These proceedings are being recorded, and we ask of those who speak, please identify yourself for the record. We will conduct this meeting in the usual fashion. We will first receive information about city staff from city staff about the application and their recommendation. If the recommendation is favorable and no one objects to the application, the matter is uncontested. The Board of Zoning Appeals usually, but not always, approves uncontested applications. For all applications, the board reserves the right to ask questions of the staff, applicant, or others in attendance prior to rendering a decision. If, however, the city recommends against the application, or if there is opposition to the application, we treat the application as contested. Hear from the applicant and anyone else who is in favor of the application. Next, we hear from anyone opposed, followed by a short rebuttal from the applicant. We then close the public hearing portion of the meeting for that particular application and open discussion to the Board of Zoning Appeals members only, who will then make a decision to approve with conditions or deny the application. Board of Zoning Appeals zoning has the authority to do three things. Number one, hear appeals to decisions of the zoning administrator. Number two, grant special exceptions, fact-finding function of the board. And number three, grant variances to the zoning ordinance if the application meets the hardship test outlined in section 54-924 of the ordinance. The board may deliberate and make a final decision on a matter by a majority vote of members present at the hearing and qualified to vote, provided that not less than a quorum is both present and qualified. However, an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the board members present voting shall be required before a use variance may be granted. For a variance to be granted, the Board of Zoning Appeals must make the following findings. A, that there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property. B, these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. C, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. And D, the authorization of a variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. I'm required by our city's ordinance to ask you to tell the truth. If you do intend to speak, so if you intend to speak, please raise your right hand. If you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you'll signify by saying I do. All right.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a new slide that we will need to update your notes with. That is regarding the conduct of the hearing, specifically the amount of time available. So
yeah, let me cover that real quick. This is something new because we've had a lot of meetings that have dragged on for a very long time, and we have a volunteer board. And we have members of the public who are interested in hearing not only other applications, but also their own, more so their own, in fact. And so when we have a meeting that drags on and on and on, it's difficult to maintain efficiency. And so the rules that we have for our board limit time for presentations. In fact, presentation by an applicant or an appellant is a 10-minute limit. Presentation by opponents is a 10-minute limit. And both of those are collective. In other words, if there are 10 people who are opposed, they do well to have some thoughtful planning as to who's going to say what, because everybody collectively is entitled to 10 minutes. Rebuttal by the applicant is 3 minutes. I have the ability to modify or extend those time limits, but I'm going to be more sparing with that this year to save everybody a little time. So finally, matters in which additional time is granted may be moved to the end of the agenda. I don't expect that we will have super long applications this evening, but I'm just reminding everybody of those time limits. All right, so we do have one deferral on tonight's agenda, and that's A2 657 King Street, which is an appeal of zoning administrator's decision. That's deferred, and so if you're here for A2, you can be excused.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, just for the record, since this is the second deferral for this item, per the code, they do have to show good cause. They were able to provide to staff the fact that they are in a discovery period on their appeal. They had submitted a FOIA to the city, and based on the responsiveness of that FOIA, they needed additional time to go through the information that was provided. So I believe, showed a good cause. We haven't told them, though, that the next meeting that they request to be on, they will be on.
All right, thank you, Robert. So we'll go right into the agenda. Item A, review of minutes and deferred applications from previously advertised BZA-Z agendas. Number one, review of the minutes of January 20, 2026 meeting. Board members, you have draft minutes sent to you in your packet of materials. Do I have a motion? Mr. Bennett moves to approve. Is there a second? Ms. Richards, I saw your hand first. Ms. Richards seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. The motion passes. And the minutes are approved. Mr. Goodwin has abstained as he did not attend that meeting, but we have otherwise necessary for him to approve those minutes to be duly approved. All right, the next item on our agenda B, new applications. Number one, 68.5 HP East Side, Council District 4. TMS number 459-05-01-086, Zone DR2, requesting the first one-year extension of vested rights that expire on December 31st, 2025, pursuant to Section 54-962. The extension, excuse me, is for a special exception to vertically extend a non-conforming south side setback, a use variance to allow retail use, and various additional variances from the development standards. The owner is Nassau Lee Holding LLC. Applicant is B Studio Architecture. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so this is a request for an extension of vested rights. As I do with that every meeting when we have one of these, just a reminder that per statute, we are required to approve up to 5 one-year extensions for a vested right application, unless there's been a truly substantive change in the rules or the conditions that would result in the application needing to be completely reheard. This is an application that was approved back in October of 2023. It has met all the requirements for submitting on time. It was approved with conditions, and those conditions, to be clear, would be continued with this action to extend the vested rights.
All right, thank you, Robert. Do we have a motion? Move approval. Ms. Bennett moves to approve. Ms. Kraft seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The one-year extension of the vested rights for 68.5 Lee Street is granted. Next item on our agenda, B2, 20 Cypress Street, East Central, Council District 4, PMS numbers 463-12-02-005, zoned LB, requesting the first one-year extension of vested rights that expire on December 31, 2025, pursuant to Section 54-962. The extension is for a special exception to extend a non-conforming east side setback and a variance for an 8-foot front setback, 25 feet required. The owner is Maple Cypress Development Associates LLC. The applicant is Jeffrey Roberts. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so this is again first request for vested rights. This one was approved back in September of 21 because of the joint, continuing because that's a budget thing, the joint resolution that our legislature passed to help address delays in supply chains and everything else related to the pandemic. The vested rights period was frozen. And so as indicated in the summary for this one, even though it was approved in 21, though the initial vested right period did not expire until December 2025. And so they're here for their first extension, and by statute, this would be approved unless there's been some substantive change, which we are not aware of. So with that, staff is recommending approval of this first extension.
All right, thank you, Robert. you'd like to say something, sir?
Just so we don't have to come back. There's an error in the first sheet. It's not an extension of a non-conforming setback. On the second page, it's correct. It's an extension for an extra parking space for 3 instead of 4 required. Just want to make sure that gets in the record.
So I'm gonna have you get with Chris after the meeting so we can verify.
It's just, I just wanted to be consistent with its prior approval
Yeah.
or extension of vested right. So if as long as it's
Yeah.
consistent, we're not making any changes, any modifications.
Yeah, we just need to know if we gotta go back and renotice it for purposes, which you will not have to come back and deal with. Well, if you want to just take action on this one with the caveat that it may have to come back if we noticed it improperly.
Okay, so we've got a request for a first 1 year extension of vested rights. A little bit of clarity is necessary to make sure the advertising was correct regarding the parking spaces and the vested rights that are extended. However, we are required by statute to extend the vested rights to the extent that they are not properly described. The city will re-advertise. We'll go ahead and take action on it. Is there a motion?
Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve subject to proper notice by the city.
There's a second. Ms. Grass seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, none opposed. The first 1 year extension of vested rights for something for 28th side of the street is granted, and we'll get that clarified.
Yeah, I can appreciate it.
All right. Next item on our agenda is B3, 167 Grove Street, Wagner Terrace, Council District 6, EMS number 463-15-01-012, zoned SR2, requesting a special exception under section 54-110F to allow a horizontal and vertical extension of a non-conforming 2-foot east side setback. 9 feet are required. The owners are Ben and Lauren Raven. The applicant is Brian Kraut, architect. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so this location is kind of mid-block here on Grove between 11th and 12th Avenue. You can see this site here in the zoning map, and then you can see kind of a little bit reversed there in the aerial photography. You can see the house there in this pretty standard neighborhood block for this area. The applicant is proposing to add an addition to the home. You can kind of see some perspectives here, and then we have more throughout the image. You can see the existing configuration of the rear yard. So here is their existing site plan. You can see how the home is currently situated and obviously is within the non-conforming setback. So they're proposing to take the existing porch area and build an extension out to there. So this is the existing kind of deck that they have currently. And so they would be building out along, again, the existing line of the house. So that's why you have the extension for non-conforming setback. Again, they're just adding onto the house. There's nothing extravagant to this. They're adding additional bedroom space. They have already gone to the Board of Architecturally Small for their demo permit. So they already have permission from that board for removal of some of the historic roofing material to connect this addition to the home. Staff is recommending approval. Again, I think this is one that's previously been approved, but then that vesting period did lapse, and so that's why it's back before you. No.
It's a different design. The previous design
Oh, it's because of the design thing. Okay, you're good. You're good. For some reason in my notes, I had written down that this might have been a lapsed.
We got the approval for that extension.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, so then at any rate, it's a special exception extending the nonconformity. It is not. Again, it's asking for additional living space, not creating any kind of variance situation in terms of lot coverage or any other setback that's not already existing non-conforming status. And so staff is recommending approval. In addition, they have a letter that was submitted, and it's my apologies, the Wagner Terrace Association sent it directly to me instead of to our public comment. And I failed to recognize that I had it, and so it did not make the public comment packet. But we do have a letter of support from the Wagner Terrace Neighborhood Association, as well as in your comment packet, there are 2 additional letters of support from neighboring property owners. And so with that, staff is recommending approval of this special exception.
All right, thank you, Robert. And just so I can be aware, the letters of support are specifically from what addresses or? what address?
So the first letter of support is from 69, which is if you can see the screen, which is immediately to the west of the property.
Okay.
And then the second one is from 67. Or no, this is 67. I'm not sure actually. Miss Tremblay didn't give her address in her letter. I'm not sure where.
She was to the rear, or that's what it looked like from the property owner's map. Is that correct? She's to the rear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Oh,
thank
look
you.
at you. Yeah, there's from her.
That's fine.
Didn't even think to look there. Yes, she would be.
Yeah, she's right here.
Yeah, she would be to the rear, kind of to the, what would that be, the northeast, I guess. Northwest.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crouch, anything to add? Any questions for the city? Any questions for the applicant?
Move for approval?
Mr. Rathledge approves. Is there a second? Mr. Williams, second the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion passes unanimously, and the special exception for 167 Grove Street is granted. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next item on our agenda, B4, 9 Magnolia Avenue, North Central, Council District 4, PMS number 463-08-03-026, bound SR2, requesting a variance from section 54-301, to build an addition 3-foot south side setback, 9 feet are required. Owner is 9 Magnolia LLC. The applicant is Matthew Sanford. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so you can see the property here in this block. You've got Magnolia Avenue on the east side, Rutledge Avenue on the west side, and Sandsea Street to the north. Here you can see an aerial front on of the property. So you can, again, you can see here the survey, how this property is situated. The area that we're going to be mainly talking about is over here where the existing carport is, and then back here towards where they have, there's another entrance to the house. You can see again some perspectives that they've provided there. We've got a lot of elevations. The thing, so these, this is just showing their area of demolition. So this is our existing home with our existing setbacks. You can see that again, the carport is the main area of interest for us. That's going to be where the new addition is going to go, is on this side here, kind of coming out a little further than where the carport is now. This is our proposed site plan here. Again, you can see this is the area where there was the carport here. Have this new addition with the stairs that lead to a new door that would be here. And you have this new addition here. They're actually removing this porch element that was there on the original drawings, and not necessarily germane to what they're requesting. However, it is germane to staff's review of this application and our recommendation. You can see that this is a house that definitely needs some attention. There's significant damage to areas in the back of the house. I believe the applicant will be working. You can see they provided some other just pictures of other homes in the area. Here, roofing plan. And again, you can see here the existing carport, and then this would be where the new addition will come out to. And this new stair and doorway that they're proposing. No openings in the side that would be within the encroachment into the setback, and then nothing at the back of the home where previously you did have this porch. So with that, staff, in looking at the site plan and just kind of reviewing the buildable area that they have, the fact that this used to have an element of the structure that is being removed, staff could not get to the point that this is the only place to build the addition. It does exacerbate the existing condition with the carport by taking an open air thing, completely closing it in, going further along that property line and that area of encroachment. And while we would never want to tell somebody you can only have an X size of an addition, it felt like there's opportunity to put maybe the addition here. Maybe they still would require some type of encroachment, maybe a slight encroachment into the rear setback to accommodate the amount of area that they're looking for. And we don't get into those details, but it just felt like there were other opportunities on this site to accommodate what they are trying to do that would either not require variance or be able to have a much smaller variance in area of impact. We did not receive any letters of objection or support related to this one. So we're not sure what the neighborhood feels or the neighbors feel about the impact that this new addition would have on the neighborhood itself. But for the reasons stated, staff just could not get to a hardship or a recommendation for approval on this one. Again, they're trying to add on to their kitchen. They're not asking to do anything extravagant, but provide some additional living space, which I imagine is an upgrade for quality of life on this house that needs some obvious work.
All right, thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody here who is in opposition to the application for 9 Magnolia Avenue? Anybody here in opposition? Seeing no one in opposition, do we have the applicant here, Mr. Sanford?
Yes, I am.
Anything you'd like to say about the application? You come on up.
Yeah.
And speak in the mic because you gotta be recorded on your.
The primary reason why we chose to go this route is to make this more usable space. The house has been lived in for 10 years. And from an aesthetic point of view, it made more sense to condition the space that's already there with the carport rather than to go off the back. And we're just asking, we're not encroaching anymore on the setback. We're just looking to enclose that space and go back a matter of a couple feet further back than where the carport is. I think there is some challenges architecturally when you look at putting this space or building this space on the back just because of how the roof line is. And so when I met with the ZBA staff downstairs and everything like that, there wasn't really an objection to this. So I'm a little bit surprised in the process as far as to get to this point, why that wasn't raised before. Was kind of counseled that because there is an existing structure there that would, not saying that it would get approved, but that it would make sense because there is an existing structure there.
All right, any questions from Mr. Sanford?
I wanted to ask, so is the addition, would it be completely, excuse me, within the carport footprint, or is it larger than that, or?
It's only larger in the rear of the property. It would be the same footprint. The deck is, the stairs are there and just as a demonstration of what we may do there, but the front of that addition and the side of it where it's up against the property line is the same. And then where it goes back is where it increases. So where you see the back left where the doorway is drawn in.
Did you speak to the neighbor on that side, the
Yeah.
carport?
Yeah, he's a big thing to get his support letter. The house is in really poor shape. Nobody's taking care of it all along, so they're support verbally on. So it doesn't really change much for them because there's a structure there that's looks pretty. Something would need to be done with this carport. There's a lawn that runs from the curb cut all the way under the carport.
And I guess you didn't speak with anyone at BAR.
Yes,
You did speak to someone.
yeah, we had our first BAR meeting 2 weeks ago, and we were deferred. And then we met with Frankie and we have opted in. And so we're on the schedule for the 25th, I believe.
For the record, the opt-in is because this is demolition purview only, opt-in is the new program that allows a homeowner to, particularly if they're doing something arguably significant to in a demolition request, to be able to actually get the whole thing reviewed by BAR instead of just demo, which can influence the discussion around whether to approve the demolition element of it or not. There's a higher comfort level when the approval includes the what comes after part, which currently, if you just apply for demolition, you know, they can't take your pretty pictures into consideration. But if you submit it in the opt-in, you're getting the whole thing reviewed by the BAR, not just the demolition or removal of historic material, but the architecture for the addition as well, in this case.
All right, Mr. Sanford, are you the architect or the owner?
I'm the owner.
Okay. And did you have any comment on any of the elements of the hardship test? I don't have an issue with the fourth, I don't think. I'm a little bit curious as to the first two elements.
I would need to see them again.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, the first one is extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property.
You know, hardship's a tough one, right? You know, I mean, this house is not livable right now, and we're trying to make it more livable. Is that a hardship? I can't really answer that. What we're trying to do is do what's best for this house and the flow of this house. I don't think I would go for this if there was no carport there. I think that, you know, when I first looked at this house, it just makes sense. Putting something off the back is doesn't really make sense for the flow of the house, or even you know, even though you can't see that from the from Magnolia, you'd be able to see it from the street that runs parallel. I don't know how aesthetically pleasing that would be. The structure, really haven't gone down that too much, it's just been my experience. In my eye, looking at the house, it just makes no sense to have it there. The house is like, doesn't have any, or hasn't had any HVAC. It hasn't been modernized or anything like that. So we need space for all of that stuff.
Okay.
I have a question for Mr. Summerfield. What if they didn't extend at all, but just work with the footprint of the existing carport? Would that require a variance, or would they be able to do this by right just because of approaching the setback?
Existing condition.
Yeah, that would be an existing condition as long as they didn't go up or out.
We'd almost have to, it's certainly, just from a condition. But
So at
guess
that
I'm
point,
just
then there'd be
curious.
a special exception for vertical encroachment.
Okay.
For non-conforming setback at that point.
Actually, it looks like it's a little bit.
I was informed that we were gonna condition the space that we would need a variance even if we stayed with it. And the roof, the height of the roof is gonna stay the same. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of doing this, is you're not changing the aesthetic of the house. It's just putting walls up and condition.
Really depends on how we looked at that carport. If we looked at it as a part of the structure and originally with the context, then no. But if we looked at it as a porch, which we allow to encroach to a certain degree within a setback area, then yes, because then you're going from definition and character of a porch or deck element to an enclosed space. So really, there'd be some additional conversation there on that part of it. And we have to look more clearly at how the house was likely originally approved and if the carport came later, or how all of that went in before we could make that determination. It is cleaner to just get the variance, then you're granting a new set of standards for the property.
I think maybe that's feel similarly to our chair, that those are the aspects of the hardship test that I'm having a hard time checking those boxes on. Doesn't feel like there's an extraordinary exception about this property site or what they're proposing to do. And I don't know that there's really a much of a restriction. I guess it's really the first three parts of the utility of the property. Without knowing a little bit more about what exactly some of these other houses look like, if they've also got similar encroachments, I think part B maybe covers that, but the fact that it has sort of matter about the two parts. I'm gonna be fine to make a motion to deny this. How about I go ahead and make a motion to deny this for discussion?
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, before we vote, any further discussion?
I mean, I feel like the footprint of the house compared to the lot lines and everything, it'd be pretty difficult to do almost anything that would require something, right? Isn't that what Mr. Somerville was saying?
Yeah, so we, again, when we looked at it, and we were really on the utility of the site and other options essentially. And so while, again, we completely understand what they're proposing to do, and most of this area is where the carport currently is with this here. It just, again, there seems like there's some area that's within the current buildable envelope that they could do. And at worst, maybe they would need to encroach a little bit into the rear setback, which is a 25-foot setback. So again, the impact of an encroachment back there seems like it might be less. Or again, I don't know what permutations they went through when they were looking at this. But it seemed like, again, during staff review, that there are likely other options that could, if not eliminate, then significantly reduce the request by using other area, or particularly again, since like the carport, there is an existing element of the structure back here that, again, from the pictures is clearly in bad shape, but again, it's not there's never been anything back here in terms of the existing footprint, if you would, of the home. I think it's a mud.
It's basically an enclosed stair to the. I think where I struggle with this, and I understand the reasons for variance. There's really not a way to build off the back without coming for another variance. And so when I look at this from a practical standpoint, we're basically talking about closing in a structure that is existing there that hasn't impacted the neighborhood at all, but bettering the house in the neighborhood. What's going off the back, you're building a new structure that doesn't exist on the site. And the way to do that architecturally is really difficult because of the pitch of the roof. We're looking at, it's easy to take a drawing like that and do it two-dimensionally, but when you look at the back of the roof, you would have to basically come this way like that is, and then just to get into that space, and then open it up to a larger space. Whereas what we're asking for now is to really not change the footprint of the house much at all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sanford, appreciate it. All right, so we have a pending motion, and the motion is to deny. It's been made and duly seconded for discussion. Take a vote.
And I disagree. I feel like the applicant's made his case that this is the addition that makes the most sense. Nobody in the neighborhood seems to be against it, and it looks like it would turn a house that needs a lot of work into something that neighbors would honestly appreciate on the flip side. So I think it makes sense, and I would vote to approve.
Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and call the vote, and again, a vote of yes or aye is in favor of denial of the application. So all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay from Mr. Huey. But the variance is denied, and I think it's just a little commentary. I think it's hard for this board to apply the variance test in a situation like this in order to try to follow the ordinance, try to be consistent with other applications, and to have an application that, while certainly we're supportive of the restoration of this home, and you heard that voiced by the board, at the same time, when we don't really have any effort to try to meet three elements of the test, it makes it tremendously difficult for this board to vote in favor of a variance. So, I understand and hear what you're saying on what makes most sense architecturally. This board is to some degree bound by the city's ordinance and the variance test, and so sometimes that can be at odds with what we think might be most architecturally pleasing, what you might think be most architecturally pleasing, but hopefully you go back to the drawing board and find it works. I will note also that the test for a special exception is easier to meet often than the test for a variance, which is the hardship test, which can sometimes be more difficult. So appreciate your time. I'm sorry that we couldn't grant you the variance, but
I appreciate it.
hopefully we can work with the city in order to execute the plan that works properly. All right. The next item on our agenda. B5, 2691 Lakes Myrtle Drive, Canterbury Woods, Council District 2, TMS number 355-05-00-140 zone CW PUD. Requesting a variance from the Canterbury Woods Plan Development Ordinance to build an addition with a 7-foot side setback, 10 feet are required. The owner is Hillary Page Keppel. Applicant is Matthew Keppel.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so this is a property that's in an PUD. It is weirdly positioned on within a subdivision that is partly in the city, partly not. You can see the property here. Butts up against a utility corridor in the back, and then a number of similarly situated design homes along on the street frontage there. So the proposal, if we can see the site. So the proposal would be for this addition, they would be doing some. They're closing this into, right?
Yes, the addition to the rear is allowed by the exception.
Right.
The addition on the right side.
Yeah. So, and then they'd be having the screen porch there. You can see kind of just the way, and they do have. All right, wait, oops, I would have, sorry, this will be 1 second. All right, so you can see the floor plan for, again, they've got the addition here, this flex space over here that they would be adding, and then they'd have screen porch. You can see the existing home here with the existing entrance there. They do have support from, this is in a planned unit development, so in sort of almost like a master plan community. They do have support from the HOA or the community association. Additionally, they have support and this is the neighbor. This is the neighbor to the. Yeah, this is the neighbor to the north here, which would be the side where the impact would be. So they have HOA support or neighborhood association support, as well as the neighbor that would be most closely affected. I'm not sure why we have this in here. That's just email from staff. So staff has a recommendation. Again, a variance within a PUD is always a little different, especially if you have the governing body for that PUD in the form of the neighborhood association, HOA approving the variance, because they create their own standards. So those are always a little different. So with that, staff is recommending approval of this request. And then the applicant, we would have an if approved condition that the applicant must provide updated floor plan featuring a door between the existing home and the proposed addition. One thing you will note on this floor plan, because it doesn't show the full extent of the house. Currently, there's no interior access between the addition here and the common some common part of the house, a hallway or something. So we are asking for that. I mean, honestly, this is a flex space, so the doors, wherever the door is going to be, otherwise that's an accessory structure that's attached, and that's a whole different conversation that we'll need to have. But so we are just, we have an if approved condition that they update staff for the file, an updated floor plan that features a door between the existing home and the proposed addition, to be reviewed by staff, just to make sure that we're not creating a attached accessory structure.
All right, thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody here who is opposed to the application for 2691 Lakefront Drive? Seeing no one in opposition, do we have the owner or applicant here? Anything you'd like to say at the board?
I just have a question about the,
Come on up. Please state your name.
My name is Matthew Kepler.
Okay.
Just a question about the condition, to the floor plan down on the bottom next to the laundry room. There's that, 3-foot case opening down to the space. I guess I need to extend my hash line of the existing home, but that goes down into the structure there.
That's great for this portion, but there's currently no entrance to any of this. So you have a walk-in closet, and you have whatever this is for the owner's extension, and then this bathroom, but there's no entry point on this floor plan indicated for accessing this. And so even though the variance request is essentially to address over here, we look at it, we attempt to look at anything we receive holistically, regardless of the request. And right now, without an entry point into this space, this would be classified as an attached accessory unit or accessory structure, which has a whole different set of rules than what an addition to the home is. So what we need is, for our records, we need you to update the floor plan to demonstrate that there is interior access to all of the addition that you're proposing. And then as part of that interior access, that's from some common place within the house. Again, you're not having to go through a bathroom to enter the whatever this is, kind of thing. Make sense?
Yes, so she's not showing a wall there at the line of existing, that's our current owner's bedroom, so I need to show that door going into the owner's.
And I'm sure that exists.
Yeah.
We just need to be able to see it on the plan.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Either the door or the Kool-Aid man. All right, so we'll have discussion, or we'll vote depending on
question,
pleasure.
so is this an accessory though?
No, sir.
It's not. Okay.
No, sir.
And then you mentioned the guidelines for the doorway. There's specific guidelines as for zoning and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just, there's no code element, but the distinction is if it's accessible from the interior of the home through a common element, unless it's meant to be a private addition, then it's an addition to the home. If there is no interior access, then it's an accessory structure that's just attached to the home. And again, accessory structures have separate rules than an addition to the home. And so we would need to apply the accessory structure provisions if it doesn't have interior access.
And I'm assuming that the city would be looking for as you said, not coming through a bedroom, not being a trap door, not being something that's weird or.
Yeah, we want it to come through a common space of the home, a hallway. Again, it can come through the just like they've done here, where they're showing here, like I don't know where my mouse went. Like the fact that this is a kind of a pseudo hallway here, where they have a bathroom and a laundry room off of this. It'd be something like that. It could even be the laundry room. Like you could go through a laundry room, which is a common room, to get to a space, but you just have to be able to demonstrate internal access, and then that it's coming through a common area of the home and not like, again, a bedroom off of a bedroom, because that's not a bedroom, that's a big closet. And we've had folks who've tried to do that, and we've had to tell them they need to work harder on their design, because again, bedroom off of a bedroom is just a big closet.
It technically doesn't even have an external access, which
It doesn't either,
is
yeah.
limited an inaccessible space, which
Yes.
is not allowed by code.
Yes,
Building
yeah.
code.
But that's the building code, so I was gonna leave that part alone. And I know that they have internal access, because I know it's an extension of the existing bedroom. I just need to show that on plans that would be a part of the file.
It's
Mr.
understood.
Ray, Mr. Keppel?
Sir?
Mr. Straight?
Yes, sir. All right, get that fixed.
Any other questions for the applicant? Any questions for the city? Ready to vote? Who's got a motion?
Move for approval
All right,
with
Mr.
the
Richards moved to
city's
approve
condition.
with the condition of the interior access, and who's gonna second that?
I'll second.
Mr. Bennett seconds. Motion on the floor to approve with the condition recommended by the city. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, none opposed. Motion passes. The variance is granted with the condition that the applicant must provide an updated floor plan featuring the door between the existing house and proposed addition to be reviewed by staff. Thank you, Mr. Captain.
Thank you very much. This needs to be submitted before you come in for the minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's an item?
I don't have an item, but I just came to observe because I was very interested in the one that was deferred. Which has been deferred again.
Just wanted to make sure we hadn't missed them.
No, I just came, this is my first, I moved out there 5 years ago from the town I came from. I was the zoning commissioner for 5.5 years. So I just wanted to see how they do it down here, a little bit differently. We rarely heard from applicants. They had an attorney, they had usually a zoning consultant. This is plain zoning terms, why it was always the right thing to do. They always found a consultant that liked their project. And we heard directly from the staff people who laid out the case and worked with them. So I was a little bit surprised that some of the stuff I heard, I don't know what happened, behind the scenes, but some of the stuff I heard would have been worked out between the staff and the applicant before they had to say here. And I found it interesting. The only thing, and something that I was taken aback a little bit by your time speaking consideration. We had someone, of course, that went to court under the First Amendment, because we tried to impose a time. And we did have meetings that went on to 11 o'clock at night. But we eventually settled on 5 minutes, and usually our attorney, if the 20th person came up to make the same objection as the first 19, we usually told them we've heard that already. They got the message. It's kind of, I'm just interested, I see a lot of the newer 4 to 6 story buildings are the same boring architecture that I've seen 100 times over. You could take any building from Jersey City, New Jersey, where I live, and pluck it down here to look the same. You can take many of the buildings from down here and pluck them up there. Jersey City is a landlocked city surrounded by a river on each side. There's a town on each side, so we only grow vertically. And that has become a big issue. Jersey City, for example, if you built something over 4 stories, you had to provide a sun issue. Traffic is a big problem. We also have, like this town, we have a lot of historic homes, mostly row houses. And the variances to build, shrink your, grow your lot size, basically, 2 feet here, 3 feet there, taken very seriously. And I don't know how it works here. I don't know if it's a typical one, but I think from any applicant was under a requirement to serve certified notice to every owner of a property within the 200 square foot radius. I don't know how they do it here.
The paper went to circulation.
Just-
Public
just
notice
in the
that
paper.
the newspaper.
Signage. Yeah, street signage.
And we had,
And
posting
posting
it
every.
we had a lot of active neighborhood associations who were